Okay, so this is the Gemara Daf Yomi, Avodah Zarah, Daf 16. I was supposed to get this out on Friday, but I swear I started 5 times. I was stopped. My phone quit recording, whether it was an alarm that went off a couple times, phone call, this and that. I could not get it done, and it ended at the same spot every single time. It ended right before Amud Beit. So anyway, we will get there. We will finish it today. So, coming off of Shabbat, great weekend of miracles. Anyway, so we're talking about things that you're allowed to sell to Gentiles and things you're not allowed to sell to Gentiles. And Gentiles these are referring to idolaters, so people who are going to use something for idolatry. So it says, Rav said, this is Daf 16, if it were possible to avoid selling produce to Gentiles without incurring their animosity, indeed it would be prohibited to sell them. Since limiting sales to Gentiles to such an extent would cause great harm. It is only prohibited to sell them shields. There are those who say, with regard to shields, this is the reason that one is not allowed to sell them to Gentiles, as when their use of their weapon is finished in battle, they kill with these shields. So, like if they, and accordingly, the reason that some say in the Baraita that one may sell shields to them is because they maintain that this is not a concern, as when their weapon is finished, they flee rather than use their shield as a weapon. So Rav Nachman says that Rabba Bar Avu says the halacha is in accordance with the opinion cited as some say. So you are permitted to sell shields. So Rav Ada Bar Ahava says one may not sell blocks of iron to Gentiles. And it's interesting. Iron is an interesting metal. It's a metal that's actually connected to the nation of Israel. The word ghetto is actually, I think it's an Italian word for an iron foundry or smelting. And iron atomic number is 26, which is the gematria, or the numeric value of God's 4-letter name. That wasn't known many, many years ago. Iron is also, what courses through our body and keeps us alive. But that wasn't known many, many years ago. But what was known was that iron, or barzel, Hebrew, the word is barzel, is and that's related to Brazil, actually. But barzel is related to, it's an acronym for the 4 mothers of the tribes of Israel. So Bilhah, Rachel, Zilpah, and Leah. Okay, so continuing. One may not sell blocks of iron to Gentiles. What is the reason? It is because they forge weapons from them. The Gemara asks, if so, then even hoes and axes should not be sold to them, as they too can be used to forge weapons. So Rav Zavid said in response, the ruling of Rav Ada Bar Ahava was stated with regard to Indian iron, which is of superior quality and used only for crafting weapons. The Gemara clarifies, and as for the fact that nowadays we do sell all weapons, Rav Ashi said, we sell the weapons to the Persians who protect us. The Mishnah teaches, one may not sell to Gentiles calves or fowls. It is taught in Baraita that Rabbi Yehuda permits the sale of a damaged animal because it is incapable of being cured and living normally. The sages said to him, but if one mates her, does she not bear offspring? And since one can mate her and still bear offspring, the Gentile will come to leave her in his possession, and the Jews who see the animal in the possession of the Gentile will assume that it is permitted to sell large livestock to Gentiles. Rabbi Yehuda said to them in response, when she bears offspring, I will agree to be concerned about such a possibility. The Gemara notes, apparently Rabbi Yehuda holds that a damaged animal does not accept a male. Since its legs are broken, it cannot participate in mating. The Mishnah also teaches that Ben Betera permits the sale of a horse to a Gentile. The Gemara notes that it is taught in Braita, Ben Betera permits the sale of a horse because the Gentile uses it for performing an act for which one is not liable to bring a sin offering, as riding a horse is not prohibited by Torah law. Therefore, there is no reason to prohibit its sale due to the concern that the Gentile might use it for a prohibited action. And Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi prohibits the sale due to 2 reasons. One is because it has the status of a weapon. So horses are used in battle. They bite and nip and kick. and the other one is because it has the status of large livestock. The Gemara asks, granted, there is a reason to say that a horse has the status of a weapon, as a horse is taught to kill by striking down enemy troops. But what is the relevance of the observation that it has the status of large livestock? It has already been explained that a horse is used for riding, not performing acts that are prohibited on Shabbat. As Rabbi Yochanan says, when it becomes elderly and is no longer suitable for use in battle, one makes it grind with a millstone. Therefore, it will in fact be used to perform prohibited labor on Shabbat. Nevertheless, Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Ben Betera, and it is permitted to sell a horse to Gentiles. The dilemma was raised before the sages. With regard to an ox of a fattener, which has been fattened for slaughter, what is the halacha? Let the dilemma be raised according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who permits the sale of the damaged animal, and let the dilemma be raised according to the opinion of the rabbis, the majority who dispute that ruling. The Gemara elaborates, let the dilemma be raised according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda as follows. Perhaps Rabbi Yehuda permits only the sale of a damaged animal, which will never come to be included in the category of an animal that is fit for labor. But with regard to this fattened ox, which is kept for a sufficient amount of time without fattening, will come to be included in the category of an animal that is fit for labor, the sale is prohibited. Or perhaps it may be claimed that even according to the rabbis, they prohibit the sale only there in the case of a damaged animal that ordinarily does not stand ready for slaughter. But in this case of a fattened ox, which ordinarily stands ready for slaughter, even the rabbis permit the sale. The Gemara suggests a proof. Tashma, come and hear that Rav Yehuda says that Shmuel says, the members of the household of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi were required to bring a present for the authorities, an ox of a fattener on their festival day, on basically, on the Gentile idolatrous festival day, and therefore it's an offering. They deprived themselves of 40,000 dinars, which means that they paid him a bribe, to ensure that they would not have to bring it on the actual day of their festival, but rather on the next day. They deprived themselves again and paid a further bribe of another 40,000 dinars to ensure that they would not have to bring it alive, but rather slaughtered. They deprived themselves again and paid yet another bribe of 40,000 dinars to ensure that they would not have to bring it at all. What is the reason that they paid a bribe to evade the responsibility of bringing a fattened ox to the authorities? It is due to the concern that perhaps they will come to keep the animal until it is fit for labor. The Gemara rejects this proof. And according to your reasoning, what is the reason that they paid a bribe to ensure that they would not have to bring it on the day of the festival, but rather the next day? Rather, it may be explained that Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi wanted to abolish the matter entirely, and he reasoned it is best to abolish it gradually, little by little, and in this manner, they ultimately had no obligation to bring the animal at all. Therefore, no proof can be brought from this incident with regard to the halacha of the sale of a fattened ox. It was stated that if a fattened ox is kept for a sufficient amount of time without fattening it, will come to be included in the category of an animal that is fit for labor. Concerning this, the Gemara asks, but even when a fattened ox is kept until it is slim, does it become healthy and able to perform labor? Rav Ashi said that the expert in this matter, Zavida, said to me, we keep a young ox that has been fattened until it is slim, and it performs twice the work of another ox. The Mishnah says, one may not sell bears or lions or any item that can cause injury to the public to Gentiles. One may not build with them a basilica, a tribunal or a gardome, a stadium or a platform, but one may build with them small platforms and bathhouses. Even in this case, once he reaches the arched chamber in the bath where the Gentiles put up objects of idol worship, it is prohibited to build it. So back to the Gemara. The Gemara says, Rav Hanin bar Rav Chista says, and some say Rav Hanan bar Rava says, that Rav says, the status of a large beast is like that of small livestock with regard to a spasm, that is, symptoms of vitality required at the time of slaughtering. If an animal in danger of dying was slaughtered but did not display any spasmodic movement when it was slaughtered, it is not kosher. If it did spasm after being slaughtered, its meat is kosher. But its status is not the same as that of a small livestock with regard to its sale. Rather, it is considered like large livestock, therefore its sale to Gentiles is always prohibited. Rav Hanan bar Rava added, this is the statement of Rav, but I say that even with regard to its sale, a large beast is akin to small livestock. Therefore, in a place where the people are accustomed to sell large beasts, one may sell them, and in a place where people were not accustomed to sell them, one may not sell them. The Gemara raises an objection to Rav's statement. We learned in a Mishnah, one may not sell bears or lions or any item that can cause injury to the public to Gentiles. The Gemara analyzes the Mishnah. The reason that these beasts cannot be sold to Gentiles is because they cause injury to the public. It may be inferred from here that another beast, which does not cause injury to the public, is permitted to be sold to Gentiles. Rabba Bar Ula says in response, the Mishnah does not pose a problem for Rav, for he holds that it is referring to a damaged lion, which is not fit for labor. This is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah on 14b, that it is permitted to sell to a Gentile large livestock that are damaged. Yet it is prohibited to sell large undamaged beasts, just as one may not sell large undamaged livestock. So Rav Ashi says, it is not necessary to explain that the Mishnah is referring to such a specific case. Rather, an ordinary lion is considered damaged with regard to labor, as lions are not generally used to perform labor. Therefore, there is no concern the lion will be used to perform prohibited labor on Shabbat. The Gemara raises an objection from Braita. Just as one may not sell large livestock to Gentiles, so too one may not sell large beasts to them. Even in a place where the people were accustomed to sell small livestock to Gentiles, nevertheless, one may not sell large beasts to them. The Gemara concludes, the refutation of the opinion of Rav Hanan bar Rava is a conclusive refutation. The Gemara presents a different version of this discussion. Ravina raises a contradiction between the Mishnah here and a Braita and resolves the contradiction. We learned in the Mishnah, one may not sell bears or lions or any other item that may cause injury to the public to Gentiles. Ravina analyzes the Mishnah. The reason a beast, such as a lion, cannot be sold to Gentiles is that it can cause injury to the public, from which it may be inferred that with regard to another beast which does not cause injury to the public, one may sell it to Gentiles. And Rava raises a contradiction from a Braita, just as one may not sell large livestock to Gentiles, so too one may not sell large beasts to them. And even in a place where the people were accustomed to sell small livestock to Gentiles, one may not sell large beasts to them. The Braita indicates that one may never sell large beasts to Gentiles, even if it poses danger to the public. And Ravina resolves the contradiction between the Mishnah and the Braita. The ruling of the Mishnah is stated with regard to a damaged lion in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Ashi says there is a different explanation. An ordinary lion is considered damaged with regard to labor. Rav Nachman objects to the inference drawn from the Mishnah. Who will tell us that a lion is considered a large beast? Perhaps it is considered a small beast, in which case it cannot be inferred that the Mishnah permits the sale of large beast. The Gemara explains. Rav Ashi examined the Mishnah here and carefully, and from it he raised the refutation of the opinion of Rav Hanan bar Rava, who permitted the sale of large beast. We learned in the Mishnah, one may not sell bears or lions or any item that can cause injury to the public to Gentiles. Rav Ashi inferred two conclusions from here. First, the reason a beast such as a lion cannot be sold to Gentiles is because it can cause injury to the public, whereas with regard to a beast that does not cause injury to the public, one may sell it to Gentiles. This inference was cited in contradiction of the opinion of Rav, as explained below. And Rav Ashi then inferred in resolution of Rav's opinion that the reason the Mishnah specifies that one may sell a lion if it does not pose a danger to the public is that an ordinary lion is considered damaged with regard to labor, but a different animal that performs labor may not be sold. This presents a difficulty to the opinion of Rav Hanan bar Rava. The Gemara concludes the refutation of the opinion of Rav Hanan bar Rava is a conclusive refutation. So the Gemara asks, but in any event, what labor can a large beast perform? Why is it necessary to prohibit the sale of large beasts if they are not trained to perform any labor? Abai said, Mar Yehuda said to me that in the house of Mar Yochani they grind the mill with wild asses, which are considered large beasts. Rabbi Zarah said, when we were in the study hall of Rav Yehuda, he said to us, learn from me this matter, which I heard from a great man, but I do not know if I heard it from Rav or from Shmuel. The status of a large beast is like that of small livestock with regard to a spasm, that is, symptoms of vitality required at the time of slaughtering. Rabbi Zarah continued, when I came to the city of Korkonia, I found Rav Chia bar Ashi sitting insane in the name of Shmuel. The status of a large beast is like that of small livestock with regard to a spasm. I said to myself, one can conclude from here that this was stated in the name of Shmuel. When I came to Surah, I found Rabba bar Yirmiyah sitting insane in the name of Rav. The status of a large beast is like that of a small livestock with regard to a spasm. I said to myself, one can conclude from here that this was stated in the name of Rav, and it was also stated in the name Shmuel. When I ascended to there, or meaning to Eretz Yisrael, I found Rav Ashi sitting and saying that Rav Chama bar Goria says in the name of Rav, the status of a large beast is like that of small livestock with regard to a spasm. I said to him, and doesn't the master hold that the master who is responsible for dissemination of this halacha is Rabba bar Yirmiyah? Why don't you attribute the statement to him? Rav Asi said to me, black pot, or patya, a term of endearment for a scholar who works hard studying the Torah. From me and from you, this halacha may be concluded. In other words, our two statements should be combined to form one accurate attribution of the halacha. The Gemara notes that in fact this ruling was also stated. Rabbi Zarah says that Rav Asi says that Rabba bar Yirmiyah says that Rav Chama bar Goria says that Rav says the status of a large beast is like that of small livestock with regard to a spasm. Okay, the Mishnah teaches that one may not build a basilica in conjunction with Gentiles. Rabbi Bar Chana says that Rabbi Yochanan says there are three types of basilicas: those of kings, those of bathhouses, and those of storehouses. So Rava says two of these types are permitted, as they are not used for inflicting the death penalty, and one is prohibited. And a mnemonic device for this ruling, that the basilica of kings is prohibited, is the verse, to bind their kings with chains. Psalms 149, verse 8. And there are those who say that this is what Rava says. All these types of basilicas are permitted. The Gemara asks, how can it be permitted to build any type of basilica? But didn't we learn in the Mishnah, one may not build with them a basilica, a tribunal, a stadium, or a platform? The Gemara answers, some say that the Mishnah means the following: one may not build in conjunction with Gentiles a basilica of a tribunal, or a stadium, or of a platform, but it is permitted to build a basilica that is not used for sentencing and inflicting the death penalty. So apropos the discussion above, the Gemara relates incidents involving sages who were sentenced by the ruling authorities. The sages taught when Rabbi Eliezer was arrested and charged with heresy by the authorities, they brought him up to a tribunal to be judged. A certain judicial officer said to him, "Why should an elder like you engage in these frivolous matters of heresy?" Rabbi Eliezer said to him, "The judge is trusted by me to rule correctly." That officer thought that Rabbi Eliezer was speaking about him, but in fact he said this only in reference to his Father in heaven. So Rabbi Eliezer meant that he accepted God's judgment, that is, if he was charged, he must have sinned to God in some manner. The officer said to him, "Since you put your trust in me, you are acquitted, you are exempt." Okay, when Rabbi Eliezer came home, his students entered to console him for being accused of heresy, which he took as a sign of sin, and he did not accept their words of consolation. Rabbi Akiva said to him, "My teacher, allow me to say one matter from all of that which you taught me." Rabbi Eliezer said to him, "Speak." Rabbi Akiva said to him, "My teacher, perhaps some statement of heresy came before you." And that is the end of Daf 16, and that is an interesting story that we'll get to in tomorrow's Daf. Thanks for watching.